Hi there folks, Luke here with the Outdoor Gear Review. Thank you very much for tuning in for this episode where we take a look. This is a preview of the Black Diamond Eldorado Tent. This is a world-renowned tent used all around the world for expedition trips, and it's also used by backpackers, but not to the same extent. This is a true four-season tent. It is made to withstand some serious wind and some serious snow. You can use this in the rain, of course, and it will protect you. But with a single wall tent, you have to be ready for the condensation. That is definitely something to keep in mind with a tent like this. So folks, go ahead, get comfortable. Let's take a look at this tent right now. So folks, as you can see here, the Black Diamond Eldorado has already been set up. It is ready to rock and roll. It is ready to withstand some serious weather. This is a four-season tent, a true four-season tent, which is made from Tex material. Extremely strong, reasonably breathable, and fairly lightweight. This is a two-person tent. It has one door, as you can see here. The floor dimensions are 87 inches by 51 inches. The peak height is 43 inches. It includes two aluminum Easton poles, very strong, 8.6 millimeters in diameter. This is a freestanding tent, as you can see, but you will definitely want to stake this out and use guy lines in strong weathered conditions. Lastly, it offers you an area of 30.8 square feet. So this is the Eldorado tent. World-renowned, world-famous, super strong. It is made for cold weather. It is made for strong winds. It is ready for the expedition that you are going to go on. This is not the type of tent that you would take backpacking on your average through hike, right? This isn't the type of tent that you would use, say, on your average summer day. There are definitely better tents out there. This tent has a strong focus for nasty weather, primarily snow. It can be used in the rain, of course, but as I mentioned before, this is a single-walled tent. So in humid conditions, single-walled tents can become moist, no doubt about it. That is definitely true with this one here. Now, with all of Black Diamond's products, you have to seam seal them yourself. So if you pick up this tent brand new, you will have to seam seal it yourself. Black Diamond does include the seam sealer. So yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest with you. It's not the most difficult thing ever. I kind of like doing it, to be honest. It definitely turns off a lot of possible buyers because a lot of people simply do not want to do this themselves. My advice for Black Diamond is to start seam sealing it themselves. Yes, I'm sure that adds to the cost, but already this thing is very expensive. I'm sure you're wondering how expensive exactly. This is a $700 tent right here. There are additional options which you can consider for this tent. They are pricey, such as the ground sheet, which I think runs $70 the last time I checked. Let's see, there's also a vestibule option for this tent, which costs $170, I believe, and it attaches to the top, stretches out over the front here, and creates a huge area for your gear, for cooking, and so on. In the future, I will show off that attachment. When it comes to the functionality of this tent, it really is impressive. This thing is made to handle the storms. It is made to handle the cold weather. It's incredibly well made. The Tex material is incredibly strong. Personally, I like the yellow too. The inside of this material is very soft. It's almost like velvet in a way, but very strong, very secure. It's also very tall, as you can see here. I mean, I can sit up fully. It's very easy to change clothes in. The door here zips shut. You also have a huge section of mesh to keep the bugs out. Thumbs up. You can use this in the summer months. I know people who do, and it's all about the ventilation. It's all about the setup. You need to set this thing up so you can have some good airflow, and they make it work. They definitely do. I've used this myself a number of times in really strong storms, and it's kept me dry. Heavy rain, big hail, it's kept me fully protected. As far as wintertime use goes, I have limited experience with this tent. I used it a number of times this year, a few times last year. Speaking of which, I have had this tent for a long time. I've had this tent in my personal collection here for roughly 4 years, and I've used it more in the spring than in the winter. And that is why this is a preview video, right? So many tents, so little time, you know what I mean? I would say at this time I have roughly 20 nights during the summer. I have maybe 5 or 6 nights in the winter of use with this tent here. Does it handle the strong winds well? Yes, it does. But make sure to stake this thing out. Make sure to use some guy lines. Strong winds can just take this thing and just roll it. Even if you have your gear inside of this tent, you will definitely want to anchor this thing down. As mentioned, the profile on this is just simply too tall not to, even though it is a freestanding tent. That is a huge plus, by the way. The fact that it's freestanding means that you can use this above the tree line, you can use this on rocks, on ledges. Oh yeah, you can use this just about anywhere. It has 4 pockets, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. You have 2 vents at the top. You have this front door right here. As far as functions and features, that's pretty much it. Bathtub construction floor, fully waterproof. I've woken up after summer storms with an inch or 2 of water on the ground, fully dry. No issues to report at all. When it comes to setup, it's very, very easy with experience. The first time that you set this up, you're probably going to be questioning yourself, like, what on earth did I do buying this tent? That was awful. But I promise you, it gets easier to set up the more you do it. You can definitely set this up easier than you can with other 4-season tents. While everybody else is still working on it, you will be done. You can also partially set this up in the rain and not get the inside of this tent wet. Simply just put together part of the pole that you need at the time, and as you go, set it up. But yeah, you can see here, the poles do an X formation, right? You have those 2 vents at the top. The poles have these tack tie things right here. They wrap around and lock all the way down. The poles themselves go into those grommets, reinforced sections at all 4 corners. As you can see here, all of the seams are taped, but that is not enough. You definitely have to seam seal this yourself. Folks, before we go any further with our preview and looking at this tent, I want to talk about Patreon for just a moment. You guys have been asking for me to set up a page so you guys can support the channel. I really appreciate it. Down in the comment box, you will find a link to my Patreon account so you guys can support the channel so we can continue having honest reviews, we can have more adventures, and so on. Thanks, folks. Back to the video. Now, with the vents at the top, they are waterproof. You don't have to worry about snow being blown inside of those. Fully waterproof, fully secure. The zippers have been treated. Whew, as you can see, that wind is definitely pulling the tent. That's why you have to stake it out, right? And that's not even a strong gust. But the zippers have been treated with silicone, so they are water resistant. Very, very water resistant. Once you have this thing set up, there are covers that go over the zippers, so you don't have to worry about water coming in. This tent does come with guy lines, and it does come with stakes. Neither of those do I have at the moment. I think I used them for a different tent and forgot to put them back in with this one. But yeah, there's plenty of places where you can use guy lines and tie this thing off. Each one of the guy line ports has reflective material, so you can see these in low light conditions. Very handy feature. You know, the biggest con to this tent is the price. $700 is extremely pricey. But for a true 4-season tent, it's one of the lighter options out on the market. Single-walled, extremely strong. When it comes to the cons for this tent, there are a few. For one thing, this is not compact, right? When you break this thing down and you fold it up, it is going to take up some space inside of your backpack. While it offers you good ventilation, it does not offer you great ventilation. There are definitely tents out there that offer you better ventilation and condensation control than this one here. Going back to the pros, the material, again, is excellent. It's very thick, very strong, very sturdy. Definitely impressive. Excellent craftsmanship, and at this price, it should be, right? One thing that I really like about this tent is that it has a mesh door. There are so many 4-season tents that do not give you the mesh, and I hate that, right? If you want to take your tent into the spring or summer months, you need to be able to have a mesh door. You need that airflow, right? So a lot of 4-season tents do not offer you that. This one does. If you're familiar with Black Diamond products, you may be thinking that this looks very, very similar to the First Light tent. And yes, in looks alone, this is a much stronger tent. This is fully waterproof. The First Light tent is much weaker, much less waterproof. Another huge plus for this tent here is the stuff sack. As you can see, it is oversized. So it's very easy to roll up this tent and put it inside of it. even with gloves on, even when it's covered in ice. I am very appreciative of that fact. So many tent companies make their stuff sacks too small. So if you're wearing gloves, things aren't going well, it's super windy, they could be extremely difficult. Not this one. By the way, folks, if you guys want to see a video on how to set this up, let me know and I will get that shot for you all. So folks, this is the first look, the preview of the Black Diamond Eldorado tent. This is the type of tent that I want to use in really cold, wintry conditions. Strong winds, lots of snow. This is not the type of tent that I want to use in a really wet, really humid, really damp area, right? So with that being said, let me know what questions you guys have. I'll do my best to address them for you. Until next time, strength and honor, be well.